All right. Good afternoon. Oh, geez, look, morning. It is still morning. It's still technically morning. Good morning, folks. Good late morning. I know it's a little later than we normally do it here, but it's an incredibly huge day for myself, for my good friend Miss Kimberly Blue, because our team, we haven't seen this in over 30 years. I just turned 36 this past year, so I've actually never seen this ever seeing the Washington Commanders compete for a chance to win in the Super Bowl. And there's certain things, there's so many things about this particular run to the Super Bowl that are hitting on everything we talk about every single Sunday, because it's new ownership, brand new GM, brand new coach, brand new quarterback, and the culture and the change and the shift in direction of what it used to be is so relatable to business. So before I get too far into the weeds here, let me introduce myself. My name, Aswan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I create, what I conduct, the business I'm all about is about taking the lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses so they are moving as cohesively as a championship youth or high school football team. All that being said, Kimberly, welcome. Happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday. Thank you. I'm Kimberly Blue, founder of Art and HR Solutions. I helped business owners and companies change their culture and transform leadership into coaches and not fear based leadership.
Not fear-based leadership. And we're going to kick it off right there, because one of the things that I'm a fan, I'm a supporter. I'm one of these psychotic fans that would cry when they lose. If we were to bring on my sister, my mother, my father, they would tell you the same thing. Look, during Aswan's, middle school, even elementary school, middle school, probably, hopefully I grew out of it in high school, but it would still mess me up inside. The boy would be in tears, crying because the Redskins lost, to the point where, as I ironically, one of the games me and my dad went to was a Philadelphia Eagles game where, Donovan McNabb he's showing off, he's dancing around. This still pains me to this day to have to think about those memories. So
Yes.
because of all that,
We all need therapy because of that.
we've all been there. All right. I I watched the team under new ownership. It started out as Jack Kent Cook, but then we had this new hotshot owner he's one of us, growing up in the same area that I grew up in Dan Snyder, who you can tell was very, very passionate about the team, and he would spend money hand over fist. He had it to burn, and there was a lot of excitement in the offseason, only to be let down during this time of year, normally when we're watching the Patriots win a Super Bowl, about a 3-hour drive from where we were, and they're having the six. Okay, let's focus because I'm gonna lose it. Anyway, there's new ownership, and one of the things that I actually sent Kimberly this yesterday, because I knew it was going to be heavy on my mind, is something that one of the owners, Magic Johnson and Josh Harris, what they said after the win against, they beat Detroit. And here's what he said. I'm going to play a couple clips here so you guys understand the culture and the talent and what it's all about when it comes to building your business. Because even if you are a Dallas fan listening to it, or Philly, New York, wherever you're from, there's so much to be grabbed from everything that the transition of power has had and how well it's worked, at least thus far. So I'll play these clips and then we'll go from there. And I just learned how to do this, so give a clap for me there. We out here figuring all this stuff out. I'm telling you, the content about to be on point. All right, so play these clips and then we'll go from there.
No, this is serious. You said, what does it take? New vision, new owner with a strategy, picking the right people first. Our coach, Coach Quinn, Adam Peters, and then we all step out the way and let them do their job. Talent, culture, and people. There it is. Talent, culture, and people. So that's it. Don't make this about us. It's about those guys.
Did you envision it happening this fast? 2 years?
Quarterback.
All right, I'm going to cut him off there only because I'm a defensive guy and I'm not a big fan of blaming everybody or having everybody love the quarterback and stuff like that. But can you respond to that just a little bit? One of the things that I loved what he said was, you got to step out the way. As an owner, it's about making sure you understand there's levels to it. And ironically, the owner that said that, Josh Harris, he's also the owner for the Philadelphia 76ers. So there's levels to it. There's a ownership level, there's a management level, and then there's a day-to-day level that I'd love for you to kind of address as we move forward. There's a couple more clips, so I'll play, but I'll let you kind of address that as well.
So back in the day, right, that high
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy of 3 or 4 levels of leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
what that does is every time the message goes down, there's really no clear vision because it could be this department's doing something, this department's working. They could be working on the same thing, but nobody knows
Mm-hmm.
because the vision isn't clear. So when you break people out of their silos and you bring them together as a team and you hire the right people, and then you're hiring them for a reason, so don't micromanage them
Mm-hmm.
because that messes up the communication even more, right? Eliminate the levels that are not needed and lead with a coaching mindset, with a growth mindset, and let the people that you hire do what you hired them for.
Mm-hmm.
Because your job as a leader is to coach and develop, not to be a dictator.
Okay.
And when you lead from that dictatorship or you have
Mhm.
too many levels, then you're bottlenecking the growth that you're seeking.
Right. Can you give us some examples of eliminating levels that are not needed? And I ask this from a personal perspective because, I come up in the fitness world, the athletic world, the sports world, and I had a brief stint at LA Fitness where they would not only hire a sales associate, but then they hire a weekend general manager, then a regular general manager, and they do the same thing on the personal training side where there were so many trainers who didn't like it or sellers that didn't like it because there were so many levels that someone had to do, and ultimately they're splitting up the profits on what they could be making on their own. So when you speak
Hmm.
on eliminating levels, what are some of the tangible things that a business owner should be thinking about when they're creating positions? And because Dan Snyder, and I hate to say his name because for the most part, I feel like if I met him one on one, we'd like really get along. But I only know him from the psychotic fan that once went.
Right.
But I feel like, especially him, and along with a lot of people who just got it to burn, you just have the money. You create these positions that become such a waste of time, and ultimately, it ruins your actual bottom line and what it is you're trying to do.
Right. So I'll ask you a question. I think
Hmm.
and thinking I'm going to leave it with football, right?
Yeah,
So in
we'll do.
football, what is the hierarchy of football? Like
Hmm.
who's the leader and trickle down. So we have the
Yes,
owner, right?
yeah, the
And
owner.
what's afterwards? Keep going
It's
down the
the
line.
owner, general manager, coach, player.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what if it was owner, general manager, director, manager, supervisor, lead, uh, uh, senior lead,
Hmm.
coach, senior coach,
Yeah.
temp coach, weekend coach?
Hmm.
What do you think would happen to the football players with all those levels?
Yeah, it
The vision
completely
would be
ruins
muddy,
it. Completely ruins it. Yeah, because
right?
everybody's
And
going to be wanting to bring in, right?
yes, so all of these different variables with the different leadership, we all have different leadership styles.
Hmm.
And since there's not one leader who's having the minimal, it also streamlines operations when you remove a lot of it, but it also saves a lot of money when you don't have 42 levels of leadership that's not
Right.
needed. It opens up the communication and makes the employee or player feel like
Hmm.
that they can go to, yeah, they can go to their coach, but they also can go to the general manager,
Right.
because there isn't such that large hierarchy that you have to go through and
Right.
things get done quicker. Speed is key.
Hmm.
And all those bottlenecks, it prevents you from moving forward to the goals that you're looking to do.
Right. And as you were talking, I'm going to play the next clip because I think it's important too that we recognize as business owners, you have a decision to make. One of the things that inspired me to move out here to South Florida, I didn't know this guy. I didn't know who he was or what he existed. I knew he's obviously from the same area I'm from. But ultimately, when I saw this as I was looking it up, it's like, oh, he's right here in the same area that I currently reside in South Florida. And sometimes as business owners, it's important that you step away from the business so hey, this is what I'm able to do. And then you come in and then you create a certain culture because I don't know, let me play the clip here now. It was an interview done. Let me see when it was. It was, yeah, just 4 months ago, in which Chick Hernandez, like me, been covering the team for 3 decades at this point, immediately saw the shift in terms of what the team was all about in regards to the day-to-day action. So I'm going to replay it and then we'll react to it and then get into some questions.
You're going to see a team that you're really proud of how hard they battle, how hard they compete. The vibe that then. Let me go back a little bit. See a team that you're really proud of how.
Oh, good technology.
Sure. So let me defer that question until we see what's happening. Yeah. See a team that you're really proud of how hard they battle, how hard they compete. The vibe that Dan Quinn is providing in camp. I've covered this franchise for the better part of 3 decades. I've not seen it like this. This is a different cat. He's a different guy. What are you getting from him? Yeah, like people are having fun. Like he's a unifier. He's a culture builder, and obviously we needed a culture builder. You know, a lot of people that had been head coaches or offensive defensive coordinators being willing to contribute, right? And Dan is molding that into a unit, and then they're bringing an incredible amount of talent and energy and expertise to the players themselves, who are all having fun also, being part of like what is an incredible project. What do you want fans who come to this game? Right, real quick, I gotta pause it. I gotta pause it. I got to. I just have to because I've attended these camps. There was a period there where I would literally be going every single day, and I live in Silver Spring, so I was drive the damn 2 hours or whatever it was to get there. But
yes,
look at this guy. Look at the guy in the black when they're coming out. Right, incredible. He's pumped. He's excited. He's ready to go.
Yes.
All right. And this is just like, could you imagine you as a business owner having a culture and a staff that's moving with that level of intensity? I had to pause it there just to make sure you guys saw that it's possible that you guys can do it. Anyway, go ahead, let me let it play because I'm gonna get long with it. Projects. What do you want fans who come to this game? Because historically, over the last 15 years, they've walked away a lot of times, not only in the product on the field, but in the product in the stadium going, what am I doing? I'm spending an arm and a leg, and it's not very fun anymore. What do you want them to come away feeling on the game? So my job is to help the city of Washington create memories. And I remember this has been so important to me throughout my whole life. And so I want everyone to have that feeling. And so I want people to come here. I know that it's they've had to get here. They've had to spend money to support the team, and I just want to say that I want you to come here and have an amazing time with your kids, with your families, with your friends. Have some fun. Drink if you want to drink. Probably be careful getting home and all that. Responsibly. Yes. But this is about creating memories, and I think this is about being part of the Washington Doug. The NBA at large. We're all part of it. So we need your help, and hold us accountable.
How they get that picture of me
I can tell you, Leslie Foster, there's nothing like talking to an owner who's accessible and transparent as he can be.
Cut.
Yes.
Cut.
Yes.
Say it
right
again,
there.
Chick Hernandez. Say it again, just so we all caught it. Business owners listening to me right now, as you do every single day. The man said transparent and accessible. If you're not that, you got to. I'll let him say it again because sometimes maybe I say it too much. Y'all don't get. Let Chick Hernandez talk to him. Go.
Leslie Foster, there's nothing like talking to an owner who's accessible and transparent as he can be. That has not been the case for the past 20 years.
Period.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. We'll let it go. And then we got to get to the questions today. Yeah, I'll let you.
Let me say one thing real quick, okay?
Go ahead, please.
One, I haven't seen camp look like that in a long time, and I used to go to camp faithfully.
Yes.
And I haven't seen the stands look like that either. So that just makes me super happy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if we go on and win these next 2 games, I'm afraid, I'm still a man. I'm afraid I'm actually going to get emotional on here. One of these, if it actually happens, I might have to cut because the male pride is going to be like, it's taking me back to my childhood self to say, that's when you can be crying on TV like this, on live like this. It's a women watch. But anyway, go ahead.
But I will tell you something. I mean, he had it on the head, and that's what I was speaking about earlier.
Yes.
Is that when you have that layers and layers, your employees feel like that you're not accessible, and it creates a culture of fear of not being able to express themselves and afraid to make mistakes. But how do we learn? We learn from our mistakes. So building a culture that making mistakes is a learning opportunity, you have to lead with that. You have
All
to
right.
be compassionate. You have to servant leadership, and we're going to do a whole episode on that. But that
Yeah,
is
we
just
will get
not
there
a,
eventually.
yes, it's not just a buzzword. You have to be open, you have to be
Hmm.
accessible. And notice the key word he said, share what he can.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean being open and authentic and accessible doesn't mean you have to share everything.
Hmm.
But when people feel informed, it takes away the fear.
All right. And well, I didn't play it for the sake of time, but before the start of it, they were actually prompting him with the question. So there's been talk about them potentially going back to RFK. And he had said, we won't know anything until the election because he's learning that a lot of it is Republican, Democrat, and what, where the money's going
Yes.
to go and all that kind of stuff. So he goes, I'll defer that question for now. But then it got into what we just saw, which is it's all about being a person that is very accessible to the I don't want to call them low level employees, but the level of employees that work for you. I know that a lot of these players are making more money, but on that note, they really don't make as much money as ESPN covers. Understand, NFL players get paid 16 weeks out of a 52-week year. That and then you got to think they got to pay taxes on it. You never know what they bought. You never know. There's all sorts of things that go into how much an NFL player actually is making. When you strip away what they got to pay their agents, then you got their friends. Give me this, give me that. The lifestyle that a lot of them created. You can see where a couple of years go
Right.
by, and all of a sudden that money can, if you're not careful, the money can evaporate because it's happening so quick. And I'm bringing all this up because as an owner, when you add those layers that you speak of, you start to you lose the development of people. You lose the development
Yes.
of people. You lose the development of, okay, this entry level employee's coming in, wants to work hard, great work ethic, wants to be successful. There's not one individual, and I want to make sure I'm clear. This is not a football thing. This is for everybody who's an owner of a business. There's not one individual who's applying for a job, wanting to work, who doesn't want to do something productive with their life. I don't give a shit
Yep.
where you're actually working or what kind of company or what. I just showed you where Josh Harris's background is. It's in something that isn't football. It's in something that doesn't even have much to do with football. But the element of being able to come get a job, someone pays you a certain amount every month, every 2 weeks, or whatever it is. They want to be a productive member of society. At that point, you as an owner, you have a responsibility to make it so that they are staying and that they are developing under your watch and they're developing into something special. So the layers that you create, you've got to really evaluate that if you're going to run a sustainable business. We could even look if you're tired of us talking about the Commanders, you can go look at the Patriots. It was what Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and that was the ownership group. Those are the two people that, and then look at who I did a whole live stream about the hiring of Mike Vrabel last week because there's a certain element to them where they're keeping things in house and there's a certain culture and a certain type of environment to where you may be bad for a year or maybe 2 or 3 seasons, but it's only going to be so long before you actually are able to bring it back up. So, before we get into I know, see, we're coming up on 20 minutes here. Before we get into the questions, is there anything else you'd like to add to this kind of, I guess, this rant? I guess I went on a little bit as I'm known to do on this show. So you guys are
That's
used to it.
okay. So the one thing you mentioned how much the football players make, right? You're not going to get
Mhm.
sympathy from people because they do make good money. But
Right.
I say that because it doesn't matter how much money somebody makes. They could make $10 an hour or they can make $1 million an hour. It's
Hmm.
the hierarchy. It's what their level is, what their job title is,
Yes.
and where it falls within this large hierarchy that people have created. You
Hmm.
do have to have positions, you do have to have roles, but you have to look at it strategically. And how is that going to fit your overall plan of what your end goal is? And no
Hmm.
matter what business it is, what is your end goal for your business? What is the framework to make you successful? And then you execute it.
Yes. All right. So I again, as you guys have, I'm sure you're proud of. So the younger folks tuning in are very, very proud of the way I've been able to use the internet. All right. I have been able to utilize
Great
the
job.
super, creator in me. Was against Chat GPT for very long because I wanted to be the creator of everything. I didn't want to work with, I was like, again, as one knows it all. But
I'm
I'm
really
telling you,
proud of you.
I'm telling you. So, Kimberly, as she always does, she sent me an outline of some of the things we're going to talk about. Everything we do here, by the way, is very organic, but we do have sort of bullet points and things that we want to discuss from a topic standpoint. So she sent me her outline, and I actually put that into ChatGPT and asked it to generate 5 questions that we can answer here online for you guys to learn. And you know, like we normally attempt to do every Sunday, is keep you here for only about 30 minutes, and then you guys move on with your Sunday. So the first question it generated was, how can leaders shift from seeing culture as a soft metric to viewing it as a critical driver of performance and business outcomes? I'll let you tackle that one first.
You tie it to your business goals. So whatever your key results are, you add your people and culture in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's not a trackable metric, then it goes to the wayside.
All right.
So it need that turnover percent. You know, how many hires and success of each department. If it's not
Mm-hmm.
on the main key results, then it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be on the main key results, and you start there.
All right. All right. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I want to make sure I make this point too. Is when you say you tie it to your business goals, you have to have actual sales goals. All right. When I say business goals, I'm talking about
Right.
actual profit making goals, because what I personally am experiencing now that I've transitioned into the education spaces, even though there's turnover with teachers, I probably can't even start talking about that right now without getting upset. But even though when it comes to the turnover with teachers, there's still this element. Well, hey, we got enough kids to stay relevant, or our operating budget isn't affected when we lose a teacher or we lose a kid and anything like that. And what I would challenge a lot of you guys to do is to take, again, it says soft for a reason, because there's too many businesses out there that aren't seeing the enormous amount of turnover. You're not seeing that affect your profit, and it seems like it just comes overnight. But if you start seeing turnover affecting your profits, your bottom line, when you start explaining that to everyone in the culture, then they make it a point to make sure they don't. Again, there's tons of people I work with, I
Hold
can't stand
accountable
them.
to the results.
Yeah,
Hold them
exactly. That
accountable.
I can't stand them,
Yeah.
but there's a if I can see where culture is tied into profit, you can swallow your pride, you can work with people, you can keep it professional, whether you like them or not. You're going to respect what they're able to
You
bring
don't
to the
have
table.
to.
So
Mm.
that point you made about making sure you tie it to the business goals, business owners, if you want to be relevant, I promise you, you have got to take that one seriously. All right, because it'll eat away at you and eat away at your profits, and you will wake up one morning, boom, your business is gone. So great answer as always. Let's go to the next one. What practical steps can leaders take to transition away from top-down, fear-based management and toward a coaching-centric leadership style? Ooh, the Chat GPT, man. Now the thing, all right, before I'll let you go, I actually pay for the monthly one, so they're starting to get to know me regularly, and it's almost feel like I have a damn man. You talking, you talking, you talking. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I told you, when you're using ChatGPT, before you start using it, you should. This is just a tip that I gave. You
Yeah,
say, ChatGPT, ask me 20 questions to get to
I
know me
did
and
that,
my
and I
style.
did that. Yep.
And so it learns, right?
Yeah.
So tip for the business owners out there.
Uh-huh.
So practical steps that you can take. Number one is go back to the drawing board. Look at your business, how it looks like today. Look at your org chart and say, you know, how, and you're going to be strategic about it and step away from the role that you're in. I'm not going over my coffee here. And say, how is this creating a bottleneck within my organization, and what can I do to fix it?
Hmm.
And then fix it and do it quickly. Don't wait. Don't wait until quarter two, quarter three, 'cause there's so many changes. Yes, it is changes. But if you want to make a difference, you got to execute efficiently and quickly. Number two, only keep the leaders or train the leaders that you want to keep to be in the mindset that they are open, learning themselves. Because if you're not always with the learning mindset and you think you know everything, how can you be a coach?
Hmm.
Be supportive to your team, and create an actual action plan. One of the things I always talk about is skill mapping. It's not necessarily position matching, it's skill matching for their skills and how does it match up. And just doing that, the having somebody not have fear is by making sure your leader is not
Mhm.
leading in that way. That old school mindset isn't gonna happen. You know, I think that's one, but another thing that I've seen, you've seen the meme where it's somebody pulling, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it's a bottleneck because people are like, no, I don't want to go.
Right.
But look at that coach with everybody around them and coming and jumping.
Right.
And because he's open and accessible and he's authentic and he
Mhm.
shares what he can. So people know what the vision is
Right.
and they know what direction and they know what the map is for the
Mhm.
future. If they
Yeah.
don't have part in the future, then it makes people scared.
Right.
Is
Well,
that too
the
much?
reason I no, no, the reason I wanted to make sure I gave that as a reference so some people can see it is because we're kind of drawn into this bottleneck nature where we tell students to do this exact same thing. Go to school, go to college, get some fancy degree, and everybody's chasing the corporate money. Everybody's chasing the corner office. Everybody's chasing something
Mhm.
that is going to make it so you now have validation for the years of schooling that you put in. When if you take that mindset of, okay, let me tell this kid, uh, go do a trade, go learn how to be the best welder, go how to be learn how to be the best developer.
Yes.
That kid can start out as a developer and then eventually get to the point where he's owning his own properties and then renting these properties out and then buying land to build up his own condo and all these kinds of things, and take the route honestly that a Josh Harris took or even a Dan Snyder took. A lot of these guys, they never
Mhm.
went to college. A lot of these billionaires that we're now are seeing doing great things is because they worked from the bottom up. And I think you hit the nail on the head when
Exactly.
you mentioned the bottleneck concept, because I'll tell you, for me, I've never even heard the term until I actually paid for a business coach myself. This was years after school, and I went to every school you can possibly imagine. The term bottleneck never actually came up until I paid money to be coached by somebody else. So that's important that you guys mentioned
That's
that
the
as well.
same. That is the
Yeah.
same for me because
Hmm.
I paid for a coach. I
Hmm.
still have my coach. And the
Exactly.
first thing that we work on is what is your vision?
Hmm.
Who is Kimberly? And what is your vision? And what do you want to see? And when you
Yes.
ask somebody that, they're like, um, now I can tell you, I seek to inspire people and business owners
Hmm.
to make a difference and create a culture of transportation,
Yeah.
and ownership to what they do. Ownership is key to
Hmm.
success. You have to own your own stuff
Right.
and work through your own stuff before you
Hmm.
can transform your culture.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. If I feel like if I make a difference with one person a day, then
Hmm.
I've done what I'm here to do.
Yeah,
And
and we've
that's
all
how every leader needs to
yeah,
think.
that's what I'm saying. And well, speaking for myself, we've all seen it. We've all, I mean, if you've been with us from the first one in October 20th, you've been able to again share what you do, share things about your business, and be able to present it in a succinct way. They call that the elevator pitch or the elevator.
Yes.
You've been able to develop that in ways that I'm not sure if you've even recognized. So let's get into question number three. Oh no, wait, yeah, question number three. In what ways can organizations foster environments where employees feel empowered to speak up, take risks, and express themselves without fear of repercussion?
Oh, we talked a little bit about that being that coach, right?
Hmm.
So make it in a culture where when someone makes a mistake, they're not, why did you do that? That cost us money, right? You're going to say, okay, explain to me why you decided to make that decision. The employee explains, and then you say, I want you to think about it this way. It's a coaching mindset, and over time it'll change. People will be not scared to say, hey, I made a mistake. This is what happened. This is why I did it. They'll come to you as opposed to you have to go to them.
Yes. So
And
the
that's a culture shift, a complete
right.
culture shift.
So the only thing I'll add to that too is, as owners, be careful about clicks, not
Oh yeah.
CLICKS, but more so CLIQUES. All right,
Hmm.
clicks, because
Yes.
what happens and what I'm experiencing currently as we speak is that these clicks are formed, and when these clicks get formed, they lead to an environment in which if you're not lockstep and aligned with this clique, and you try to do something that's conducive and productive for the actual, in this case, it'd be the students or whatever, the customers, wherever it is. If you're not doing it through a certain clique, then ultimately you kind of get diminished, and your stuff, your ideas get kind of put off to the side because it's not coming from a certain clique. You as an owner, you have to weed that out. You really have to weed that out, because the ones that are
Yes.
in that clique, they will not speak up. They won't feel empowered on the day to day. They won't take risks.
Mhm.
And if something is bothering them, that can potentially have it so they leave, eventually they're going to choose the latter and leave and move to a situation where they're just not going to be trampled on by a clique that doesn't want them around. So that's the only thing I'll add to
Exactly.
that.
And not even clicks, just closed mindsets too.
Yeah, Clifton,
Because
that creates the closed mindsets.
yes, yes, because even, if you develop a plan as a business owner or leader and you're
Hmm.
not flexible and adaptable to the workplace that we're in right now,
Hmm.
people are going to leave because of that. And so,
Exactly.
it creates a toxic environment where people don't feel valued. And if they don't feel valued and their voice doesn't matter, they're going to leave to somewhere who they think is going to value them.
Period. End of sentence. So, question number 4: how are remote/hybrid work models and generational shifts reshaping expectations for leadership, collaboration, and employee engagement?
That has been such
Well,
a hot topic, right?
yeah, I'll go first on this one, only because I know you're gonna have an answer that probably would be better than mine. But what I've seen in my time is that laptops. All you really need is a laptop and access to the internet nowadays in order to actually make money, a good amount of money. And, when it comes to generational shifts, and the question is, how is it reshaping the expectations? I will tell you right now, as an owner, authenticity is now an expectation. All right. The people
Yes.
that are clamoring around, whether it's a potential customer or client coming to you, or a potential employee coming to work for you, what they're looking for is authenticity. If you're not being authentic, guess what? They could type it in online, find someone that is authentic, and move on from your hiding behind your work and hiding behind what it is you do in your
Yeah.
process and all that. So I'll leave it at that. You better be effing authentic. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
I think we've all seen that commercial where the lady's laying in bed and she's on a
Uh-huh.
conference call and she's sleeping and they
Yes.
call her name. Oh, yes, I'm up. Okay. Let's be realistic. Not everybody is meant to be hybrid or work remote. Okay.
Right.
Not everybody is. And so
Right.
you have to identify that, number one. But, COVID and well, this is going to be a whole nother show. Why are we still talking about COVID? But it's
Hmm.
changed the way we work, the way we live, and people are wanting more of that. Though those that can work from home
Hmm.
and not being flexible and rigid with your standards also fosters that environment. You don't trust me to do the right thing that you hired me to do. And so if you can't trust me, then why am I here? You're not going to trust me in the office. What are you babysitting me?
Hmm.
So you let me work from remote for a year or 2 years or whatever it was, and now you want to bring me back. So you got to shift the mindset, hold people accountable to their performance in a coaching way. And if it can't be coached, then you replace them with
Yes.
someone that's going to do that. It's
Right.
very simple. Don't make it complicated.
Hmm.
But if you want to have a culture of trust and you want to have the culture where it looks like a great football team and people collaborate, then you
Right.
have to lead the charge on that and say, I
Right.
trust you to do your job. If you need help, I'm here. If you need resources, I'm here. And you are the manager and the leader of that. So if
Mhm.
you feel that you need to micromanage somebody, you're in the not in the right place, and neither is the employee.
Well, I mean, I have absolutely nothing to add to that. Let's get into the final question, because it's going to kind of, it relates to the final question, which is, what tools or methods can leaders use to conduct regular culture audits, identify gaps, and continuously align talent and culture strategies with organizational goals? Again, I'll take this one first, because the tools that you can use, and she just mentioned it, but she mentioned it from the perspective of, as a business owner, having to let someone go. I'm going to kind of reverse it. As a business owner, you have a wide range of resumes. All right, you have the entire internet that you can use as a potential resume. So when one of the things that I thought the coaches that I played for did a great job of was whenever there was a starter that was not playing up to starter standards, that was not practicing like a leader, was not doing the things that he needed to be doing as a whether it was a senior or somebody that just is going to play on game days, they'll point to the guy right behind him and say, so and so is playing really well. All right. We get about 100 emails a day from different high school kids that want to come and take your position. There was one practice in particular, I'll never forget, where I was slacking even. And coach said, do you want to still be the starting linebacker? All right. Those are the tools, identifying the gaps. You never want to get to a point where people are taken for granted the fact that they have an opportunity to have a position and someone is actually giving you a check every 2 weeks, or someone's giving you an opportunity to be a productive member of society. That too often do I see that get taken for granted. And you look at the leadership, you look at the owner, and you say, hey, owner, are you making sure, like they're doing like a Beyonce, and you're explaining to them, you can be replaced? Don't you ever get the thinking you're irreplaceable? Are you making sure you're doing that? I know it's funny, but at the end of the day, Beyonce dropping some
It's
knowledge
true though.
when it comes to, listen, you got to let mofos know every day, as much as you love them, as much as it would hate you would hate to leave them, they can be replaced and light a fire up
Yes.
under their ass. So anyway, go ahead. I'll let
Yeah.
you. That's my takeaway on that question.
So and people have varying opinions, right? We do have
Right.
360 surveys, we have anonymous surveys, we have all those things, but your employees are not going to answer those surveys honestly if
No.
you already have a culture of fear. Okay.
Hmm.
So when you start doing this, do it in person. There's nothing like face to face. If you're connecting bottom up, you are
Hmm.
connecting with people, whether it's through Zoom or in person, but you see them and you're building a relationship with them, then they're going to trust you and share. It's going to take time to do that. That is the best tool. That is the only tool, in my opinion, that you should
Hmm.
use, because until you build that awesome culture, after you build it, you can use all the other great tools that you have, right?
Right.
But until you get there, it needs to be face to face, weekly check ins,
Hmm.
monthly check ins. It needs to be scheduled. It needs to be made a priority. You need
Right.
to do it, and then you need to take action on it.
Right. And again, we could probably, I see we're over time here, but we can probably talk for hours upon hours on these same
Yes.
things. At some point, you got to implement them. At some point, you got to say to yourself, "All right, this is the time." I mean, this is a matter of me having a business and no longer having a business. As I've expressed to you, regular listeners, on many occasions, I've seen six businesses that I actually used to work for. Seen even a church, even if you want to count them, they've all gone out of business, like permanently closed, all because of these same issues that the manager, the owner, just didn't have a way of doing these things. They didn't realize that these things were going to affect the bottom line to the business and creating that culture. So, all that being said, I'll let you kind of close it out with anything that you may want to put out there now, and then I'll officially close.
Mm. So you need a framework, and it starts there.
Mhm.
And this goes for not just business owners, it goes for your own leadership for yourself. The whole plan is to stay hired. And
Yes,
so,
but the point is
stay
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 stay hired
right,
Sunday.
stay hard Sunday, but stay employed to keep your people. So it goes for
Right.
any business. And if you need a framework and sometimes you just need a different viewpoint, you can reach me at ardentHRsolutions.com.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, amazing conversation. The great episode.
A wonderful one. Wonderful. Looking forward to next week. Anyone out there interested in connecting with me further, just hit the patreon.com/as144. We have something for everybody. That's going to be the exclusive community where we dive deeper into all these topics. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Till next time.